Hello and welcome to Geeks of the Round discusses X-Men: The Days of Future Past. I am normally your host, but I'm not going to be hosting today. I'm just introing us. This particular hangout is going to be run by Isaiah Mullins. How you doing, Isaiah?
I'm doing great, sir. I need to redeem myself next time.
Yeah, we kind of had Isaiah really disliked the X-Men movie, and he made his voice known. So we thought,
fair. I can
let's
find my,
run the hangout. We're gonna let him run the entire thing.
Yes, but it's gonna be different, folks. No one's not gonna be yelling at one another. We're gonna have a simple, reasonable discussion.
Okay, all right. Next to him, of course, is Charles Whedon. How you doing, Charles?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great. And we're at it again. Discussing X-Men Days of Future Past. Should be interesting.
Yes. And Isaiah's best friend and biggest fan, we have Andy Babak. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing great. Although I don't know what you guys are talking about that we're doing this again. Like, did we do this already? I don't remember.
I don't know what you're talking about either.
Yeah, it's like, what's wrong with you people?
Yeah. Andy wasn't here, or he has no recollection of such a thing happening.
Exactly.
No, I was off, in that bed behind me,
All right. Andy it was here because he doesn't zone out. I'm the one that usually zones out. So, if anything, I wasn't here.
So, Charles, stop fapping over there.
I don't know what that means. You're going to have to explain that word, Isaiah.
Well, folks. Oh, I'm sorry. We're running out of time. We should talk about the show now. We should talk about this a great movie. Well, a good movie, yes. Comic movie is indifferent, but it's still a good movie overall. How you want me to kick things off, Matt?
It's your hangout. Go for it.
All right, good. All right, folks and gentlemen of the panel, we're gonna start with the beginning. Hold up.
In the beginning.
Yes, in the beginning. All right. In the beginning, I should restart some brief history for Days of Future Past. It is based on a comic book, but it's very confusing too at times because I know I'll be very brief. The main character in that one was Sue Storm and Kitty Pyro. I think I said her name right.
Pride.
But in the cartoon one, it was Bishop and Cable because it had evolved Apocalypse, but that's another long story we won't get into. What I'm trying to say is Days of Future Past is a very confusing and pretty much hard to put together story and movie as well. So I do give Bryan Singer a lot of credit because I took a lot of balls to put all these characters together. So we start things off as pretty much mankind is pretty much extinct next to the mutant kind. Professor Xavier and his old friend / life partner Magneto, or Eric, who is also the leader of the Brotherhood, has actually joined forces, and they have to pretty much figure out a way how to stop the Sentinels from ever being created, because the Sentinels are more adaptive, they're more crazy. And I heard from the people who comments said they didn't like it, but I liked the Sentinels for what they were because they were very scary. They were very the cartoon ones, they were a joke, but here they was actually frightening because I always thought, like in my nerd way, like what, Magneto destroyed him, but here it was actually more reasonable because I won't go into the whole story because it has the bigger plot behind it. But I want to ask the panel, what do you guys think about the Sentinels?
I'll go first on that note. I know most of you your stance on the 1990s X-Men comic was that it was utter shit. I disagree because I watched the shit out of that show and it was so awesome.
I love that show.
So
I would say, but in comparison to the Sentinels from the cartoon and the Sentinels in this movie, clearly the Sentinels in this movie were better. But the thing I liked most was the Sentinels that were shown, the first generation of Sentinels from the 1970s. Those looked remarkably similar to the Sentinels from the cartoon, which I really liked. But the Sentinels in the future, however, just looked freaking badass.
Yeah, they were more better too. More better than
their body just looked kind of fluid, like a goddamn liquid. And it looked really, really awesome. I was, and then like how, like the arm sword that came out of the wrist or something, that was cool. How the head opened up and like shot out that blast of fire. I'm like, ooh, I want one. I want one. Yeah, it's so cool.
You said
I
open
thought
head.
I thought it was awesome. I thought the Sentinels from both generations, the first generation and then the future ones, they were both awesome. I really liked them.
I have to agree with definitely on the future Sentinels is you kind of get the idea of how the Sentinels evolved from the 1970s to the I think it's 2024 or something like that. It's supposed to be like 2 years in
somewhere.
the future.
Yeah. hmm
I mean, you get a sense of that this is how they started, this is how they ended up as. And, of course, every generation between those Sentinels are going to get scarier and scarier and have more abilities.
Right.
And I did see the ones from the 1970s as kind of cheesy, but that's because of the fact that, especially for my generation and younger, the 70s were cheesy. I mean, they really were. Bell-bottom pants and paisley shirts and all that other fun stuff. It may
Right.
have been great for the people who grew up in it, but we didn't grow up in it.
Right. Right.
And as for the 1990s X-Men comic, I think because that is the generation that I grew up in. I was in high school for that. That was my age. So back then, that cartoon was amazing. Now we look back at it and it's like, whatever.
It is.
Kind of like the Flash TV show. When I watched the Flash TV show when I was younger, it was amazing. We watch
Right.
it now, the old TV show, and it's just like, I can't believe we thought this was good. That's kind of how the X-Men cartoon is for me. And the Sentinels in there they weren't as cheesy as they were in the 70s in this movie.
Right.
But they, as Charles said, they did look very, very similar.
Right.
I
And
did
also-
one thing I did like about the 70s version is that they had their propeller right there in their chest,
yeah, that was cool. I have to admit that was really cool.
which would allow them for vertical takeoff and landing, which I think is kind of cool.
Also, I should really say this before Andy gives his opinion. The new Sentinels, their AI is not fully advanced, like say Terminator or RoboCop. Their AI is pretty much prime directive to destroy all mutants, no matter if it's humans or whatever. Because due to, again, I can't tell you what the plot twist was behind these Sentinels, is that their AI is not smart by any means. They are not smart. They're just rabbit dogs.
I will say this on your matter of RoboCop. Yeah, RoboCop is not an artificial intelligence, man.
If you look at the new movie,
I did watch the new movie. Anyway, going off track, back to
Andy?
X-Men.
But so the new Sentinels, it was kind of awesome. It was kind of cool that you had kind of a liquid metal slash lizard skin type of situation going on there.
right.
The fact that it could transform under various different powers.
Yeah.
That is one of the many suspension of disbelief moments. However, is that supposedly they can adapt to different people's powers because of the fact that they have Mystique's DNA in them. Which,
but I actually think that's actually reasonable and actually is possible because it got that nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is very advanced and very much it can adapt to any situation due to many AIs within its own system. So it was very natural for them to actually adapt to new abilities from other mutants. So it was like Peter Petrelli from the first season of Heroes. He captured their powers and he can actually obtain them and actually use them against the people who have their powers. So it was just like that.
yeah, but I don't think they mentioned even once nanotechnology in this movie.
That is true.
But I'm sure Andy has something to say on the subject. No pressure, Andy.
I love the Sentinels. I love the design since since we first saw them like in in the posters and so on. And I love the future Sentinels. Obviously a lot more than the old version. Although the 70s version was kind of cool actually, and I like that they've had the purple color. And yeah, and like because when they said that Mystique was gonna have a bigger role in the movie, I didn't know what they meant. So when they basically showed us, well, she's basically the reason why the Sentinels became so effing strong. So, um, yeah.
Okay. So we got that out. So we got that out the way, folks. About the Sentinels and Professor Xavier and Magneto coming together to actually stop for all this madness to actually happening. So this is where the story itself diverges from the comic book and the cartoon one. When I look back on it now, I think that was more smart because people would get more lost. Like audience who'd have not read the comic books or seen the cartoon, it would get more confusing. And so Charles Xavier's plan was to send his consciousness back through time due to Kitty Pyro's power. And let me get this off my chest now. They did not explain it, but that was okay because her role was pretty much it was big, but you don't have to care about her. It's Ellen Page. And she's a good actress and all, but we don't really care. Anyways.
I care about her.
I heard that she was openly Canadian.
Oh, but never mind then. Canadians are good by me. but Wolverine stepped up to the plate and says, "No, I'll take on that path because my body can withstand all that trauma and going to the past." And also, that makes perfect sense because his healing factor is very much unique and pretty much it's more advanced. It's like the Hulk's and Wolverine's healing factor is beyond unbelievable. They can survive mostly any peril out there. So that's why they're so. That's what. I'm sorry. You go ahead, Andy.
But also one of the reasons why they sent him back into the past because in this version of the X-Men, Kitty Pryde is a very young woman. So that means that in the 70s she wasn't. How can you send yourself back to something that doesn't really exist? You'd be like, what the heck? I'm a ghost. I can't do anything because.
Well, I think I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think they said it was a rough draft, by the way. They said Kitty Pryde sends her consciousness to Wolverine's body in the 70s. Again, this was a rough draft, and I knew it was not gonna make enough sense. So I'm glad they took it out. So that's why.
I never heard about that draft. I only heard Simon Kimber saying that. Well, because she's so young, she doesn't exist in the 70s. She must have at least been born like during the 90s, I think, because I don't know, I think she's like 25 or 30 years old in the X-Men universe.
Yeah, she's old, but it was just really much a rough draft of how Wolverine gets from the future to the past. It was due to her Kitty Pryde's consciousness. She sent her consciousness to where Wolverine's body is in the 70s. But I'm glad they changed that up because when I read it, it's like that was confusing. But again, I'm gonna skip all that other nonsense and get to the whole main meat of this. And when he goes, he lays down a slab, and Kitty Pryde uses her powers to transfer Wolverine's consciousness to his old body. However, they do warn him if you do die in that past, you will die just like in the future. It's like the dream of Freddy Krueger's dream or Nightmare on Elm Street. If you die in your dream, you die in real life. So it's just like that. So imagine like this. It's like a dream sequence, a whole big dream sequence that the dream sequence actually plays a big part in the main story. So you can look at it like that. And also, before Wolverine went under, Magneto says, "Yes, I was a different man, and yeah, you should release me from prison."
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yes.
I can see Magneto tweeting to Wolverine in the future, being like, "Oh, in case you missed it, I'm a pretty psychopath," and
I'm still a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see him being like, I see you, YMA, so in case you missed it, I'm a pretty fucked up person in the past.
Right. Speaking of fucked up person, we meet a lot of people in the future. I know I skipped over them briefly, but we meet a lot of cool people. My favorite character I like to see, know if I can get enough screen time, was Bishop. He was really much badass. He was just like a comic book character and a TV character, so that was really good. I mean, there's a lot of other movies I can't name off the back of my mind because their names are they're not hard. It's just I can't remember off the back of my mind. I know Andy and Matt can't, and so can Charles, but I remember Bishop because we haven't seen Bishop on the big screen. Our house character, he really is cool. So he did get his time to shine. So that was really cool. So now we go.
It was kind of cool. Like, isn't he from the future and friend? Well, I don't know if friends is the right word, but works with Cable and all them.
He was not friends with Cable. That's like the whole big misconception behind it. He wasn't friends with Cable. He was friends with Wolverine, like really close friends with Wolverine.
Okay.
And so when he went back in the past, it was like he saw a ghost. You saw people when you see like a person that you never saw you saw who died in your future time. You see him in the past, like your grandfather. Like, wow, it's like you just feel so speechless. That's why he was good friends with Wolverine. That's why the whole cartoon and everything else was made perfect sense. So yeah, but going from there, Wolverine gets transported to his old body in the 70s. And also, folks, and you're going to get really confused, he said he got metal claws. That was not fully explained yet, but we're not going to go over that because that's very confusing. So we're gonna just go into the good stuff now. So Wolverine wakes up in his younger body, no, in fact, it's still Hugh Jackman, with his bone claws. Which was like, I like his bone claws because he's more vicious and more crazier, but at the same time, he's really a bit more weaker and more fragile, like like a twig, because he's facing really dangerous threats. No, in fact, Magneto can't kill him so easily. It's still that his bone claws are just so. If you compare it to his metal claws and his bone claws, you know he's gonna win, right? And plus, being very quickly with the bone claws. In the comic book, Wolverine faced a really tough adversary named Cyber. I hope I said his name right. He was the first person ever to make Wolverine fear him because he broke his claws. I think he was at his bone claws. He was a rookie of the X-Men, so he broke his claws, and it was very vicious too. So that was really badass. Anyways, we see Wolverine pretty much dealing with these mobsters, saying, "You slept with the boss's daughter." Hey, look now, it wasn't my fault. Okay, maybe it was my fault, but I'm a different guy. Kinda. Okay, I did enjoy the sex, but still. But it was still kind of cool how he said like, "Oh, because I got bone claws." Like, "Oh crap, I got bone claws. Fuck, I need metal claws." But it was still cool. He dispatched those guys. And
I was gonna say, I can't imagine that he remembers who that woman is 50 years later.
Yeah, like
I mean, between these two periods of time, literally 50 years had passed.
Right. So it makes you think too, like, But also, we should really talk about really quickly about the setting in the 70s. It was very nice, very cool. I do like those time periods and that really set up things very like how they was like 70s, 60s, and so on and so forth. I think Bryan Singer has an eye for image, so that was really cool. He said everything in the 70s. It was just like how you guys remembered it. So that was really cool. I really meant that. That was super, super cool. But then I think it's where the problem sets in for me, and I'll explain this too as well. Do we meet Mystique or do we meet Charles Xavier in the past first?
We meet Charles Xavier, pretty sure.
I thought we met Mystique first.
No, I mean we see a flashback of her in the 70s, but I don't think Wolverine has gone back in the past at that point.
No, I was just saying because I know I might be jumping ahead, so please tell me, folks. But when we saw Mystique go into the compound of Stryker's compound, and she freed the mutants that were there, I was a little bit lost because to me there was no good transition of that scene. Like there was nothing that actually connects that scene to like the other scene with Charles Xavier and Wolverine, because there was no good connection. It was a badass scene, which was true, and you get to see Havoc, which none of us liked him because we like Banshee better, but that's a long story too as well. It was just those scenes themselves didn't really translate that well, and I think that's a really big problem behind this movie. It's just that some of the scenes, or most of the scenes, didn't translate that well because there was not like I wouldn't say a lot of detail, but like a warning, like you're gonna go to this next scene, or you're gonna say, "Oh, remember what happened to Mystique? She knocked down the compound. Really? How'd that happen?" Woo, 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 woo. And there you go, the compound scene. But I mean, I know I'm being very fickle about this, but that was just because I was a little bit lost. It was like this. I'll explain this one. When I saw the Mystique go into that compound, it's like, okay, why is she going to the compound? Okay, she's freeing the mutants, but how did she get there? It's like it was just so many missing puzzles to that piece of that monument. It was like hard for me to figure out. That's why that's why that scene was confusing to me. But it was still a badass scene because Mystique actually showed in this movie that she's pretty much hand-to-hand combat expert as well. I'll say more so than Wolverine. In fact, Wolverine's been around longer, so has Mystique. She's actually older than she's almost very old too. She's almost old as a Wolverine, but not close.
But in the movie, she's not though. In the movies, she's not.
Right.
But in the comic book, she absolutely, she's been around a long fucking time.
Oh
and
yeah.
She just doesn't age.
Yeah, due to her mutant powers and how her genetic coding always changed, which is very badass. And we see Jennifer Lawrence pretty much. It's pretty much her movie, if you think about it. And that's very good. It's pretty much a Mystique story because we don't know who this character is as a viewer standpoint. Like, who is this character? We don't know who this character is. But until we find out, like, okay, she's this and that, but she has different layers. And we start to love her even more due to Jennifer Lawrence's awesome performance.
My thought is that scene with Stryker and going and breaking out those things, breaking out the other mutants.
Right.
I think that was specifically to show, because we did not have any true backing up of this idea before,
Right.
is that Mystique is the good guy. She
Right.
is. In this movie, she is very much, she is trying to do the right thing. And
Yeah.
if they had not shown that scene, everything we would have seen of her would have been her trying to save mutants and kill Trask,
Yeah,
with
but
more emphasis on saving or on killing Trask than saving the mutants.
right, right. But it actually makes perfect sense too, because I might go a little bit like drift off this history, but it's gonna make perfect sense. Imagine like the Ku Klux Klan was like killing a lot of people, right? Like black people like me, and it was like one person, a female person, like let's say Mystique, and she knew how to stop it, kill the main leader. And that's what she kind of thought. Like, yes, I'm mixing social issues with this movie, but that's what it really brought up here. You saw that bigotry, you saw that hatred, you saw that people pretty much, pretty much, Stryker's team was going out and hunting down mutants and killing them like a pack of like worthless animals. You see that in slavery times, you see it at all times really. So it was actually kind of cool that Mystique's path was like, and also you can say it's noble because she's trying to do what's right for her kind, but also mankind if you think about it. Because I know what she's trying to do for mutant kind, but she's trying to do it for mankind as well because she didn't really lose hope in mankind. The reason I said it because she still trusted Charles. No, in fact, she didn't really think what he was thinking, but she still trusted him. And this is where a good segue we get into Charles Xavier, and this is really interesting but really confusing as well. But that's more along the lines. Wolverine met the Mansion. It's very run down and very much broken down. It's very much like I feel like nature is taking over it really from the outside of things. So it's really cool. And we see Hank McCoy, his human side. It's like, okay, this is weird, but okay. And yes, he has that little chit chat with Wolverine, telling me he can't see the Professor Xavier. And it was kind of interesting. He told him he pretty much just run them over, like, man, get the fuck out the way. He ain't nobody. Until he transformed into the Beast. And he did like that scene. For me, that scene was like the Hulk kind of situation, but it was still a clever scene how they did it because they made Hank McCoy more of an interesting character. Unlike Last Stand and First Class, he got more of a bigger role. And that was really cool. And I want to know what you guys think about his character in this movie, and also his power change. Like he can turn into the Hulk he can transform into the Hulk type of mentality. So what do you guys think about Hank McCoy's different change?
That wasn't really his power. What I understand, that was more like him, taking that serum that made him be able to, control himself and be able to shift back. But
Right.
like I think Nicholas Hoult is a phenomenal actor. I think he did a great job as Beast, and I think Kelsey Grammer should I think he should come over and be like, well done, son, like because he does a great job. And we had some issue, in the First Class movie we had some continuity issues with, okay, so if he gets hairy hair, then how the heck did they explain X-Men 2, that cameo where he's a human and then suddenly he's the Beast? But
Right.
now they pretty much fixed it, explain that he did something in the past, and that makes sense. Young people, they make mistakes all the time. Look at me, I do mistakes all the time too. So it's like I like that.
Yeah,
I
but
really
I'm
like
sorry,
that.
I was gonna say like the drug part. I kind of wish they pretty much put more emphasis on the drug part. I mean, yes, Hank McCoy created it and made it, but it kind of makes you think like, if you made it, dude, where'd you get the resources? Where'd you get this and that? But then again, I'm just picking at hairs at small things.
Remember,
But
he's also the one who was brilliant mind of the Marvel
right,
Universe. So
well, his mind is not more brilliant than Charles Xavier, but it's up debate. It's debatable in all means. But I know what you mean, Andy. What about you, Charles? What do you think about Hank McCoy? And stop zoning out.
With that depends. In every movie of the X-Men series where they've ever introduced Hank McCoy, it's always been different. Like Andy said in X2, when Hank McCoy showed up in that, it was a completely different character, and it did portray him off as possibly human. And then in X-Men: The Last Stand, it was Kelsey Grammer, and he was the head of mutant affairs with the government. And that was kind of cool. That was one of the things I liked about X-Men: The Last Stand. However, with X-Men: First Class and Days of Future Past, I gotta say I prefer this Hank McCoy more. I do. I like him. I like him most as he is in First Class and Days of Future
Oh.
Past. However, the makeup work that they did for him in First Class was terrible. It was horrible. Very bad makeup work. I liked him. I liked the way he looked more in Days of Future Past than he did in First Class.
Mm. And before Matt gets to his topic with Hank McCoy, there's a question we have, and I'll be very quick with this one. Does Days of Future Past gives the comic book lovers some extra geek out moments like the Wolverine saying "bub" or Hulk punching Thor for no reason? I would
There's a
say
lot. There's a lot of comic book
yeah,
moments
there's
for
a lot more,
comic nerds.
and then there is a lot more, and then some. There's actually a big middle finger to the guy who made Last Stand, which is kind of funny too. Like,
Brett Ratner.
Well,
yeah, it's
because
like
he deserved it.
yeah. Let's be honest, he did deserve it. Like, yeah, and also we kind of see that awesome clash between Charles Xavier and Eric, and I do love that scene, which we're gonna get to very shortly. But before we get to that and other things like that, we are gonna get to Matt and what he thinks about Hank McCoy's new character development.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool. I think I'm of the belief that the drug that he was using for himself, he actually gave a different version to Professor Xavier. The reason being is because Hank McCoy was able to switch back and forth between Beast and himself, where Professor X in the movie obviously was not. So that's something we should take into account. So I don't think that it's the same drug, and I think it was changed once again for X-Men: The Last Stand. I think it might have been a derivative of that they
That
used in
part.
X-Men: The
Oh,
Last Stand.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Matt, but that one in Last Stand, it was actually a mutant whose powers were actually that disables the person's powers, like the Haitian in Heroes. His powers actually cancel out all the heroes' powers. So it's just like that. Here, this drug was like he just made it out of chemicals, which I know I can take it as that. But in Last Stand, they gave us some reason why it was there because they used the kid's blood. That's why. So that's why that was different drugs.
Okay, well, but either way, it made it to where obviously this drug does not necessarily long-term suppress powers. Obviously, given enough time, those powers return. And I think that, and that was a complaint that we had before about Last Stand, is how did these mutants get their powers back after Last Stand? And it's because of the fact that it does not remove the mutant gene; it just suppresses it for a time.
Right. Just like with the Haitian, like he suppresses your power. He doesn't take it away.
Yeah.
Not yes, he didn't take it away. So that was really cool. And now we finally meet Charles Xavier, who's played by James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and who does an amazing job, by the way. You see that this is a big change too. From the First Class, he was pretty much a lax and pretty much smart and cool guy. Here, he's pretty much an arrogant and pretty much grumpy old man who looks like a Jesus. And here's the fun part, folks. He can actually walk now. You're actually, how can he walk? He's supposed to be a cripple. So here's the thing. With Hank McCoy explained to Wolverine, when he gave Hank McCoy when he gave Professor Xavier the drugs, it suspended his powers, but also gave him the ability to walk. But it's also kind of sad too because we actually know why he was doing it, because it was guilt, regret, and pretty much just feeling depressed because he lost people he loved, he lost his team, he lost his school due to the whole because they're all dead. Which this is why the whole Stryker compound came into play, because Stryker was gathered up all the mutants. And this is where Mystique came into play to actually free them. So yes, I connected both two together. And it's actually kind of sad when he kind of feels, you can see him, he's broken down old man, like Jesus. But it was very cool though. It's like it was like in the comic books and in the show as well. Professor Xavier could walk, but only if his powers were taken away. So that's why he never likes to. That's why he never he doesn't like walking that much, because if he walks, then he won't have the ability or gift to help more people who has like mutant powers as himself. And this was pretty much a good standing moment for him. And actually, see pretty much Charles Xavier get a little grimy, a little bit meaner towards the people around him. Like Wolverine said, like he told them to go fuck off somewhere, which he didn't really say it to him. He said it to Eric. But again, I digress. So what do you guys think about Charles Xavier's new character change?
I would say that at first I wasn't entirely sure about it, but as soon as they revealed why he was able to walk and all that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And the new character, I thought of it as an opportunity for him to hit a low, then finally find out who he really is, and then find a way to get back to where he used to be, to truly find himself, that kind of thing. And I always like that kind of story. I do, where a hero gets beaten down, he's at his lowest point, and then somebody comes out of nowhere and like tells him like, "Hey, get off your ass and do something." And then he goes out and finds out what his purpose is, finds out who he is, and I like that. I've always liked that in any type of story that I've read, and I really liked it in Days of Future Past.
Right.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it was one of those things that I think lasted a little too long into the movie.
Yeah.
Is the whole like Charles Xavier becoming Professor X, as it were?
Yeah.
If you were to think of them as different characters,
Yeah.
because I mean, you had Wolverine 3/4 of the way through the movie going, dude, like I don't know how to help you. Like I'm like you helped me. I don't actually have a way of helping you. So
Well,
I don't know what to tell you.
well, I take that as a lie he just told. Like an unknowing lie. He knew how to help him. He just had to guide him to what he needs to be and what he needs to become. If that's not what he's helping him, he needs to guide him. And that's what pretty much Charles Xavier told him. Like you need to guide me to become the man I need to become. So it's not really helping; it's really much guiding. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. I just that was one thing that Wolverine repeated over and over again. By the way, Wolverine is great at strategy. He's great as a team leader in the X-Men comic books,
True.
and I think they even covered that a little bit in the cartoon. But he is great at strategy. However, he is not a deep thinker.
No, he is not.
So I mean, he's intelligent. He's just not
Yeah.
intelligent in the way to help Professor X.
He's not.
I do not think that he necessarily would have easily come up with the idea of enter my mind to go to talk to yourself in the future.
Right.
I don't think that would have been something that he had an idea of.
Yeah, it took some time to actually like, oh wait a minute, he can look into my mind. But that's more down the movie ranks. So Wolverine says we need a plan, which again Matt says Wolverine's good at making plans. He's a good strategist and everything like that, which he is true. So he comes up with a plan like we need to get Magneto out. And Hank and Professor Xavier like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know what he's in prison for? No, what is he in prison for? And they both look at each other like, is he that serious? Yes, he is. Well, okay. Remember President JFK? Yes. Magneto. Oh shit, really? Oh,
really?
no.
Magneto got JFK laid by Marilyn Monroe? That's awesome.
And he said, no, man, no, he killed him. Oh.
Oh, that thing. Okay, all right.
My bad. Oh. Okay, I know one person who can help us get in. Really? Who? And this is, again, a little confusing part how Wolverine actually knows him. But again, we can say Wolverine has been around for so long, he knows a lot of people. So I give that for the benefit of the doubt, which is fine by me. So
That was confusing. He said that I know a guy. He would be a young man now. But pretty much says, well, in the present that we knew, he was an old man. So nothing confusing about that.
I think, in all honesty, Quicksilver doesn't really get old because we're getting to Quicksilver, folks, who is actually a really cool character. His outfit's awful, but he's a really cool character because he's played by a good actor. Because he's from American Horror Story, which sucks, he's still a good actor overall. He still plays plays Quicksilver. But I will say a young Quicksilver. Unlike the Avengers one, which is a different part, it's still the same Quicksilver. This Quicksilver, he's more jokey. He's pretty much a clever little bastard at best, and pretty much it makes you think like, wait a minute, he should be around more longer with us because he can pretty much do anything more better than all of us put together. Yeah, pretty much. But again, they had to cut him off at some point because he's too OP, which is overpowered character.
Plus, he probably had to shoot. His episode of American Horror Story.
Right. True. Because he got that contract deal as well. But again, it was really nice how Quicksilver knew who they was because he checked their walks before they even came to his door. So that was really badass because we know how fast Quicksilver is. He's so fast you cannot know you can't see him with the naked eye. So that was really cool. And Matt said before in our other discussions, Quicksilver is pretty much one of the most powerful characters in the X-Men and Marvel Universe as well because the speed, the force, and pretty much gravity is his greatest weapon, and so is time itself. Time and gravity is his greatest weapon of all time because it's, how can I put it in a better term?
Not gravity specifically, but physics.
Yeah, physics is like his on his side. Isaac Newton is his biggest weapon.
No, what I was speaking of was I was actually not speaking of Isaac Newton. I was speaking of help me here.
Physics, how he was moving so fast, like if he punched somebody, it might feel like a soft punch to him, but in actual normal speed, like in normal speed, it's actually like you said about Superman getting knocked out by Flash. It's like a dying. Yeah. It's like a sun.
Yeah. Basically, it's E equals MC squared. It is a real life mathematical concept that is being applied here. Is that the energy times energy equals mass times acceleration.
Right.
So the bigger something is, the more mass something has, and the faster it's going, the more it's gonna fucking hurt. Which means that is why. So he didn't actually just fucking kill him. He didn't punch them in full speed because that would literally knock their fucking heads off.
Right.
He just barely tapped them, knowing that would fucking knock him out because of that acceleration.
Also, it actually proves two things, really. Number one, Quicksilver knows he's moving faster than all of them put together. And even if they're just talking, he's seeing them talking in very slow motion. He's waiting for them to get done talking, like just waiting. That's how it is. He sees that all the time. A big old loop of people going so slower than him that he really has to wait on them. And then second, he's actually a smart character because he knows what kind of force to use against them, and pretty much he knows how much force that will actually hurt them. So you kind of think that he's a smart character because he knows what to do. He's more smart than Spider-Man when it comes to webbing people in the most worst way ever. Like, dude, that's not how you web people. The gravity and force, you asshole. But Quicksilver, he's actually thinking very smart and fast. That's his gift as well. He can think very fast, like than a supercomputer like that. So that's really cool that this character's not dumb or stupid. He's actually very smart.
And that's one thing that I wanted to make sure to bring up is before this movie came out, people looked at the pictures of Quicksilver from this movie, and then they looked at pictures of Quicksilver from the Avengers 2, and they're like, oh my god, like Avengers 2, it actually looks like Quicksilver, and this being put out by Joss Whedon, so Quicksilver is going to be this amazing character, and this one looks like he sucks, dude. Like, what the fuck is up with this guy? And then we actually see him in action, and we're like, holy moly. Like, seriously, Joss Whedon and the Avengers is going... They're going to have to make Quicksilver look so much better to be able to, than what we expected of that character. Right. Just to be as good as the character in this. Seriously, Quicksilver was a breakout hit in this movie. Like, everybody was surprised how good he was.
I would say that Quicksilver in Days of Future Past was probably the star of the show. I mean, the unofficial star of the show. It's like he stole the show because of how awesome.
When he was in the parts that he was in, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and yes, I could say that when he I know we might jump a little bit ahead for most folks, but this is where he pretty much said the plan, like he needs to get someone out of prison, and he kind of hesitated a little bit, but then he said, okay, it was the Pentagon.
Well, no, there was one scene where they were talking. There was one moment in that scene where he was saying, like, oh, like a jailbreak? Yeah, that's illegal, And then they look around at all the stuff that he stole, and I just thought that was funny. I chuckled at that, yeah.
Like, dude, are you fucking serious? Look at all this shit you stole. Like, oh, yeah.
Most of them were ho-hos, ring-dings, and Twinkies. Most of them.
And then he said, but then when he said, we're going to break in the Pentagon, he was like, man.
Yep.
I'm in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every day. Not every day you get a chance to break in.
I just have a quick question for the panel.
Okay.
Purely for entertainment. Isaiah, we'll go down the line. Isaiah, if you had the power of super speed, and you were not part of a superhero team, therefore using up your time. If you had super speed right now, what would you be doing
Sleep
with
with
your free
all the
time?
women, sleep with all the women who are pretty much willing to, the legal ones too.
I'm not sure that'd be a good thing.
Okay,
Not
fine.
not
Fine. I'll sleep with
not for
Jessica
the
Lange.
women
How
at
about that?
least.
I'll sleep with Jessica Lange. How about that?
God damn it.
Let's do it.
Oh, Jessica Lange is not going to sleep with you just because you move fast. As a matter of fact, she's probably not going to sleep with you because you move fast.
Hey,
Fast is not always good in bed.
true, but she's moving in slow motion, so hey, it's good by me.
Women prefer the longer it takes. They prefer long. Yeah. Not fast. Not fast.
So, Charles, how about you? What would you be doing with your free time? I mean, let's say you're bored at home and realize, oh shit, I have super speed. What would you do?
I would travel. I would start running all over the place. I got a friend on the other side of the country that I'd like to visit, and I don't have the money to fly, so I would probably just run. Go
Well,
like,
actually-
wee, oh, I'm here. Oh, hello, hey.
You're technically flying though. You're technically flying because you're going so fast. It's like you really are technically flying. So yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would also try to see. I would also try to push my limits. I try to see how far I could take it. I would try to also run across the ocean. Although if I did that, I would not be able to stop because one, I don't know how to swim, and two, I really have a fear of drowning in the ocean.
You'll be
So, yeah.
I can see it right now. Charles is running across the Atlantic, trying to get to Britain or some crap, and a shark just kind of jumps out of the water and goes, and no more.
I can see it now. I can see it now. It's like I'm running, like, oh, look at me. Oh, fuck, there's a shark. Ah! And then chomp, I'm gone.
Right.
There's like a foot floating in the ocean, twitching, going like, oh, there he is.
All right, how about you, Andy? I know you've thought about it because you do that whole flash thing. If you had like super running speed and you were bored at home and realized, oh shit, I can run really fast, what would be like the first things you do?
Probably something involving John Barrowman.
How is this in any way going to help you with John Barrowman?
Oh, trust me.
He'll know. He'll know.
Andy will find a way to make it work with John Barrowman.
Yeah, no, but I would seriously just run over the ocean and just scream, "My name is Barry Young, and I'm the best man alive." Because since I saw that trailer for the Flash, I've just been wanting to scream that line and run.
It'll actually be Wally West.
No, this is what Andy would do. Andy would would leave his house, run as far as he could to like the top of this mountain, some unassuming mountain, and he would say, "My name is Andy Babakt, and I'm the fastest man alive, and I want to sleep with John Barrowman."
Echoing all over the world. And John Barrowman hears it, he's like, "Okay, I can do fast, guys."
Wow. Okay.
All right.
He would probably say something like that because he's John Barrowman. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, enough with Andy's fetishes. Now we go back to the movie.
John
All
Barrowman
right.
would have been in the X-Men Days of Future Past, by the way. I'm just saying.
I know. But then Professor Xavier, Wolverine, Hank, and Quicksilver pulled their plan off to releasing Magneto from the Pentagon, who was accused of killing the president, which we're going to get to very shortly. Trust me, it's going to be a long story behind that. Anyways, it was a very interesting, elaborate plan. It was like Ocean 11's planning. Like, all right, we're going to pull out the biggest heist ever, which is going to get a crazy madman out of prison. You in? Okay. Why are we doing this again? To save the world. Oh. But why? Anyways, going from here, you see it knocking out the security systems, and you see them going all the basic links just to get Quicksilver inside the building. Oh yes, and him too. Yay. It was really interesting too. It's like, wait a minute, can you just go in there? But it actually makes you think, because if the government has Magneto, wouldn't you think they'd be like secured and pretty much ready for any other mutant that comes to them? So it makes you really think. So that was really kind of cool. And when the security cameras were down and out, it was time for Quicksilver to shine, this is where he comes really much a big star in this one. How he gets Magneto out was so awesome that it was so hard to believe that you was watching something that was so cleverly made. It's like he dressed up as the security guards very fast in the elevator, and he got that duct tape too. Like, oh, that's a lot of duct tape. So that was really cool. And then
And the
I
reaction
thought
that
it was pretty funny because he had his hair all up because he's got longish hair.
right.
Like he was trying to be a security guard, yet obviously his hair was like trying to break out of the hat. It was
Right.
yeah.
And it was just so cool. And also kind of one thing, are these guards that stupid? Like, guys, you do know that's not the same guy you've seen beforehand, right?
in the 70s, Arrow was stupid.
Well,
That's
it's
the
still,
only logical explanation.
but anywho,
May I just say, as a former security guard and someone who's probably going to in their life become a security guard again, normally don't become a security guard because of your intelligence.
right,
There are exceptions. There are obvious exceptions. But normally, like, for example, let's say you're going to school. Security guard is an awesome job if you're going to college because you get a chance to study. However, for the most part, security guards are not there due to their advanced degrees.
right. That's mostly true too. And then this is where Quicksilver gives Magneto his food, quote unquote, not really his food. It was just it was three magnetic balls. That's what she said. And it actually kind of brings back to X-Men 2. This is where Magneto broke out of prison again, and this was very cool. Mystique injected that guard with a lot of iron and lead, and the guard who came in to give Magneto his food, he sensed that metal inside that guy's body in his iron blood. So he got that iron blood, he got that iron out of the guy's blood, and pretty much killed him and turned them into 3 balls. And he pretty much killed all the security guards. And it was just a really badass scene. So
And that's actually something that I want to talk about a little later, but we can talk about it a little bit here, is whether or not the Magneto of the 70s is as powerful as the Magneto of the earlier movies. And in that specific case, he doesn't appear to be. Because if he were as powerful as he was in the previous movies, the Ian McKellen movies, he would be able to do that with any of the fucking guards. But he wasn't able to do that. He had to be broken out.
Right. So I think he was a little bit weaker compared to his older counterpart, because his old counterpart was super powerful. He picked up the bridge all the way to Alcatraz Island. So that was really badass. So yeah, this Magneto is a little bit weak, but that's a good thing though. It made him a little bit more weak to actually make him more we can care about this character. And
I don't agree, but we'll end up covering that later.
True. And so Quicksilver broke him out, and he's put his hand behind Magneto's head, like he's just checking like if he had whiplash before, and it was like really cool. You see how Quicksilver is actually becoming smart with his own powers, like making sure this character's neck doesn't snap before it goes speed of sound. It was really smart and clever. He took the effort actually making sure his person he's trying to help out doesn't get hurt by his own powers. So that was really cool.
May I say something on that?
Yeah.
Between that, the whole like head snap, between the like barely touching them to knock the guards out, all of that is not something you just know. That's not something that I have super speed. Now I have to make sure not to hit people really hard because then they're dead. That takes experimentation. So I'm wondering how many fucking people he ended up killing before he figured all this shit out.
He tested it on frogs. And
he tested it on frogs? Maybe Toad. Maybe that's how Toad got his brain scrambled.
Exactly. You never know, folks.
Fuck, I knew you were going to say that.
Hey, you walked into it for me, so thank you. But get back to the whole heist itself. We're almost out of the heist, folks. Trust me. This is where Magneto and Eric see each other again. He says, "Hello, Eric." You know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. Maybe the people at home
Charles,
know
let me say Xavier. And, anyways, you know what I mean, folks. Charles Xavier, not so crippled guy. James McAvoy. Anyways, yes. This is where Xavier and Eric meet once again. And actually, it was kind of funny, too. Eric was kind of like nonchalant, like, "Hey, man, how you been?" And you see Charles like kind of pissed off and knocked him. He kind of like gave him a good right hook to the jaw, like, "Ah, ow, that had to hurt." And then it was like really interesting too, because you see that, and this might be really weird to say, but did you see that brother mentality there with Eric and Xavier? No, in fact, they don't. No, in fact, they're not like biological brothers, but they're like spiritual brothers. They've been through a lot of things, and they're very powerful mutants. And you see the mutant kind in the same light, but in their own different eyesight. So you still see that their brother-like contact with each other. And you do know one thing: they will never kill each other ever. Magneto will go out of his way killing everyone else besides Charles Xavier. This has been done multiple times in the comic books, but in the Ultimate Universe, that's a more different story. But we're not going to talk about that. And
One of the things that Magneto was a little surprised at, though, was that Xavier was on his feet. That actually surprised Magneto quite a bit.
Yeah, and also surprised Magneto as well. Like because they showed Charles actually freeze the guards. Like, come on, Charles, freeze the guards. Well, I can't do that. What? Oh, okay, I'll take care of this. No, I'll take care of this. Wolverine said, I'll take care of this. But Quicksilver says, you know what? I'll take care of this. You guys take too long. Put on his goggles. He's like, man, fuck this. I'm going around these circles. Which was very, very cool. That was like, Andy said this on in the last post. He said it was the best slow motion. He wouldn't say it was the best speedster animation, but it's really up there. It's really good. For me, it was like one of the best speedster animation because you see all that detail with slow motion. You see him because the wind of him actually going so fast that other objects are flying around him. But the people around him and the people around him as well don't see it like the guards. They don't see nothing. Like I said from before, Quicksilver is hard to see with the naked eye. So it was very cool and very fresh to see how this character was moving in such a fast pace. Seeing it slowing it down like seeing a praying mantis attack a fly. And you see it very slow. It's very beautiful. So this is a very beautiful artwork here, and you see it unravel when you see it in, at normal speed. It's like, oh shit. You see all this chaos. You see so many of these guards knock the fuck out. It's like, wow, that's really badass, son.
Yeah, and that's just it. Is while he was moving extremely, extremely fast, and that's something we were talking about in the last before, is that he did not, even from his own point of view, he did not freeze time. He just made it very, very, very slow. Right. Like the bullets were still moving when he moved their trajectories. Right,
because it's safe to say that even in the comic books as well, Quicksilver can manipulate time because his speed. But I think in Days Pictures Past, they brought him down a little bit lower because that would have been too powerful for him. I think in Avengers 1 it's going to be very powerful because he might manipulate more things around him. But that's another different case for a different time. So, Matt's right. In every sense of way. And also, he said this in the last last post as well, that when he saw Quicksilver moving the bullet, he didn't really deflect it. He just moved about a couple, how would I say, inches away from the target.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of force and a lot of gravity as well to push that type of bullet. And you just see how Matt said Quicksilver is a very powerful character. He can do that. So it makes you really think about this character even more. Like this character is he's not just some crazy hipster. He's a very powerful hipster. So that was really cool.
It's the 70s. There's no such thing as hipsters.
You never
Hipsters want to be him. As a matter of fact, I would not be surprised if in Oregon right now, Portland, Oregon, there are people dressed up as the Quicksilver from this movie.
Pretty much. But you see the aftermath. You see Charles Xavier, Eric, and Wolverine surprised, like, oh, okay, so we can leave now. Yeah, duh. And also before we leave that scene as well, you do notice from the guards that they don't have metal guns at all. They have plastic or glass guns. Somehow that stupid they don't have normal guns because they know Magneto can control metal. So it was kind of cool, that detail as well, that the government knows who Magneto is and knows his powers. And so we move on from the heist scene and actually breaking down Eric. We go to the airport, which is like okay. So the Charles Xavier still has money? I thought he was broke as hell. Oh, he still got money? Okay. But it was still nice to see their final farewells to Quicksilver. And I forgot too, before Andy kills me. Quicksilver made a big comment about Quicksilver saying, "What's your powers? I control metal." Oh, okay. My mom knows one who controls metal, so it gives everyone that sense like, is Quicksilver and Magneto relatable? In the comic books, it is true, but we're not gonna talk about his sibling because trust me, it's another long story. Trust me, long story. But again, they say their farewells to Quicksilver, and he gets to keep the car. And think to yourself, why the fuck does he need a car? He can go. If he's trying to pick up base, I get that, but overall, he doesn't really need to pick up. He doesn't really need a car. He can go fast as he can go anywhere he wants to without a fucking car. So, anyways,
I was gonna say if Quicksilver needs to pick up babes, he can literally pick up babes.
pretty much, yeah.
It's like da da da. I'm walking through the park. How the fuck did I get in this hotel room all of a sudden?
Right. And so this is where we get to the more interesting part of the movie, and it's actually kind of cool too, because Eric has filled in all the details on how they must save the future from pretty much stopping Mystique from killing him. Trisk. I hope I said his name right. If I didn't, Matt will pretty much correct me. The creator of the Sentinels. So we get this really cool dialogue, and you see that Magneto does care for Charles' well-being. However, they get to this big argument, and pretty much Charles started in the first place, like, well, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. And so they're playing the blame game. Well, it's your fault they died, but you fought harder. Well, you suck. Well, at least I can still walk and still have my powers, bitch. Well, you slept with a blue lady. Yes, who is your sister, who had feelings for you. Well, you suck, Eric.
Look at that DC thing that was them just starting to fight like this, like.
Right, just like that's why I said, like, just like brothers. They were fighting just over about the past and pretty much silly things too. So it was very cool, and I really like that scene because you see those two characters, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, powerful characters, awesome actors as well. And it was very sweet. I would say it was kind of sweet. If Magneto brought the chessboard to Charles Xavier, because in the comic books and TV show and even the movies, those two characters played chess a lot because they were very smart people, and no one could really beat them in chess except for those two. So it was very cool detail. And
may I just say that if I were Magneto,
mm-hmm.
I would have totally hit that. Then I would have had her change into someone else, and I would have hit that.
Right.
Then I would have had her change into someone else, and I think you get the idea. However, that being said, it was never verified that he actually did hit that.
Well, I thought in the first class he kind of did sleep with Mystique. I don't know, because
they kind of left that in the air and kind of implied that he did, but there has been no verification either from him or Mystique.
Yeah, but for me, when I looked at the first class again over and over, I saw Mystique, who pretty much she had more of a liking in Charles Xavier. I mean, if you just look at it from a third point of view, it's like she was trying to get his attention. It was at the pub, and it was at that type of situation, and he never really looked in her mind, which is like, really, dude? Really? You never looked in her mind? Okay.
I'm sorry, but if growing up with my sister, if I had the power to read minds, I'd be reading everyone's mind except my family. Fuck that. I do not want to know.
Right. I understand, and that's true too. So I think there was a little boundary for Charles as well that he did not read her mind. Obviously, he was like, dude, you can't really tell from a woman's advances towards you? No. Wow. For a smart person, you're really dumb about life.
Most smart people are.
Yeah. And then we get this other cool scene with Magneto, the young Magneto, and Wolverine. Like, we were some good friends. And Wolverine said, like, no the fuck we're not. I hate you. Oh. Okay, it's nice to meet you then. Yeah, it's nice to meet you too. Yeah. So it was a really cool scene. This is where we go back to France. And this is why we're doing it in France. This is where Mystique is pretty much on her and she has really cool things too. She broke into the creator of the Sentinels office. She got the plan, she got everything else where the Sentinels were being made, and she looked at all the awful things this guy did for experimenting on mutants. And you saw that through her emotions when she was disguised as the creator, who was played by Peter Dinklage, right?
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage, yes. Who was an amazing actor, and he was a cool villain too. No, in fact, he didn't get that much screen time, but he was still cool. And then you see Mystique's journey trying to take him out, and you kind of think it's reasonable too. You see so many tricks and angles, and so she meets this one guy, this Asian fellow, who was supposed to have this big board meeting of Task. So it was very interesting. She's doing all the other spy elements that we did see this in the first movie, but you see Mystique doing more spy elements because she can transform to any person she wants to. Even if she doesn't know them, she can still transform into them. So that's very badass and cool. And it makes you even think that Mystique has a more better plan because Mystique is very smart too. She's just like Wolverine, but she's a little bit more smart than Wolverine. She can play espionage. She can escape from any trap. She's just like that. She's just that ultimate spy, just like Black Widow. So it was
She's
very.
Sydney Barstow.
What you say?
Sydney from Alias.
Yes, that is 100% true. She's like Alias character, Sydney. And so that was really cool. And then we get to that board meeting where Task and his fellow members or people who want to buy his technology because he sees mutants become the biggest danger out there. Not the Russians, not the Cubans, and all that nature. And it was very interesting too. It was like the whole stepping stones of hatred and hatred and hypocrisy and everything else. Like, wow, dude, really? You think mutants is the worst thing ever? You should really look at yourself in the mirror. But it was still interesting seeing. He has this real cool device that attacks people who are mutants. He has a device that actually sniffed out Mystique, and that was really really cool. Because I always thought like maybe her genetic codings can pretty much throw that machine off. But thinking like myself, like that's kind of stupid because her blood is her DNA is just so unique and fresh. It's just still gonna be a mutant. So it was really interesting. They figured out that was Mystique in there, but then you see her kick all types of ass. It was like, oh damn. So yeah, we need more security up here. Stryker sucks too. He got taken down like a sack of potatoes. Like, oh, hi. Okay, anyways, and it was still cool though. It was very very interesting. And this is where she's about to kill him. And then out of nowhere, Charles, Eric, Wolverine, and Hank break in to actually stop her from doing it. And this is where she gets tased too by Stryker. And Stryker gets knocked down. He gets knocked out again by Magneto, but with the tasers to his neck. So that was kind of cool too. And I think he would die from that. And so that was really interesting. And then you see Magneto thinking like, all this. Wait a minute, I got a better idea, everyone. I should kill Mystique. It's like, wait, what?
That's some old bullshit. I'm gonna protect mutants by killing mutants. That's just fucking idiotic.
It's like, yeah, I thought like Charles said like, no, dude, we gotta convince her not to do this. No, I want to kill her. What the fuck are you talking about? And this is where Magneto pretty much screws up every last living thing, literally. And so he uses magnetic powers to pick up the gun and try to shoot her. And Hank is trying to stop him. He does it all slow motion. It was very cool. She runs out the window. Glass breaks. No, in fact, glass doesn't break like that. And the bullet hits her oh god, I know it hits her leg. So let's call it her leg. And that was really cool too. And this is where Magneto again screws up again. He goes in for the kill. He drags Mystique by the bullet in her leg. That was very cool and very hard to watch because you can see that bullet. I mean, you can see that bullet actually moving and pulling her muscles and her bones towards Magneto. So that was really cool, and I liked it a lot. Okay. Anyway, sorry for a big pause. I was reading. I'll make this very quick too, folks. You see Magneto trying to do the kill shot again. This is where Hank transforms to Beast. And it was a very cool scene. And you see Beast
in front of everyone.
I'm sorry?
In front of everybody. And then he would land on the ground and they were like, oh right. My god, it's a blue hairy Smurf.
True. Actually there's two Smurfs. Smurfette and Papa Smurf.
if you're calling Hank McCoy Papa Smurf.
Yes. Anyways, folks, and Magneto pretty much destroys him because he was playing possum when he's trying to drown him, and he pretty much gets him with the magnetic powers again. And you see the audience just so much frightened and so much afraid of the mutants kind. You see Magneto pretty much becoming a beast, and Beast himself pretty much being a monster. And Beast did not like that, staring eyes at him. It's like the Elephant Man. It's like that. The Elephant Man didn't like people gawking at him because he says, "Oh, he's a monster. He's a freak." No, he's still a human being. Well, he's still like you, but he's different. So that was really interesting, very much detailing social issues we'll be having today's culture. So that was really good. And then again, this is where a team breaks up apart. Magneto goes this way, Charles and Wolverine and Hank go over this way, and this is where Magneto kept fucking up more and more. Because in the news reporting, it says Okay.
Go on, Isaiah.
Okay,
Don't worry
cool.
don't worry about the chat.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. So the news reporting was saying about there's mutants in the streets, and they got the blood from Mystique. It's like, oh, thanks, Eric. You're just doing a great job for helping us stop the evil future. Thank you, asshole. Thank you. What? I was trying to kill her. Well, we said don't kill her, asshole. Well, I'm going this way. Okay, we're going this way. Bye.
And that's just it. Is that kind of changed everything because of the fact that it was Mystique being in public that kind of kicked it off. But in this particular case, it's no longer Mystique's fault that the Sentinel program ended up starting up. It is now Magneto's fault that started up.
Pretty much, yes.
Because if he had just fucking left well enough alone, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, really?
So maybe he should have just fucking killed himself.
Yeah, this is where the point I got a little aggravated at the movie because Eric didn't do nothing special. He just came and screwed up a lot of things. Like, hey, old Eric, why'd you tell me you was such a dick? Oh yeah, my bad. Thanks for nothing, dude. Thanks for nothing. And so you get again we're back in the past. I know I haven't been into the future so much because the future scenes are they're very brief and nonchalant at times. And a lot of people do die, but again, the main big meat here is the past. So again, back to the past moments. Mystique is trying to heal up from the bullet wound. The other team, Charles' team, is trying to figure out how to find Mystique and Magneto. Well, not really trying to look for Magneto, but be on the lookout for him. But they need to find Mystique now because
I have a question on that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I always thought the Mystique had maybe not as fast, but she still had the quick healing ability.
Her healing ability is good, but it's not greater than Wolverine's or Hulk healing factor. It's like Captain America's healing factor. It's good, but it's not overly great. It's just above average. So that's why she had to go to the hospital.
I don't know. I was just thinking that like between that scene and when she's in Washington, at least a couple of days would have had to have passed, right? At least we assume so.
Yeah,
this is 1970s and planes don't go that fast. Which means, I mean, seriously, like she should have been at least mostly healed up by then, if she had any healing factor whatsoever.
And she does, folks. She does. Like a normal wound would not a person's leg, whoever got shot, would take like weeks or maybe close to a month. It only took her about a few days. Even the nurse said, like, wow, this wound is actually healing up really fast. So it was really detailed and really interesting. So it was like, wow, that was really good detail for Mystique. And then we move on to Eric looking at the plans of Sentinels. It's like, oh my god, this is so terrible that maybe, just maybe, I should take control of this machine myself. Again, this is where Magneto kept fucking up more and more. Like, dude, stop. And this
it is totally on him that basically the world was fucking up.
Basically. And then he meets Mystique, and again, I don't know how he tracked her down so easily, but again, he met her, and he talked some really brief conversation, like, I want to the guy who creates the Sentinels and be done with it. No, Magneto said, no, why do you think it's so small? Think in the big picture. Take the machines. Rule the humans. It's like, dude, really? You're trying to prevent the stupid future. Are you that stupid? And I just kept laughing on that part because, wow, really, dude? Really? You're trying? But anyways, they have an understanding, too. They part ways. So, because she wants to take out the creator, while Eric wants... I heard someone. So Eric wants to take over the machines, so he can pretty much take over humans itself, again. And by doing this, he went to the freighter, and he implemented metal inside the machines, if I'm correct. Yes, he did implement metal.
He did. I'm sorry. He did what?
The one way he can control the Sentinels,
oh, that's right. He got the railroad ties.
Right.
And he shoved the railroad ties in between their joints.
Right. This is where Magneto found where their location was, but instead of destroying the Sentinels, he pretty much created the Sentinels himself. Again. Like, thanks, dude. Thanks. You could have destroyed them, but thank you. And then, I know I'm going really fast in this movie, but it was only like a few scenes that were really lame, but a little boring. But then this is where we get to the good parts too. This is where Charles Xavier finds Mystique. He uses Cerebro, which is very cool, and I really like how he went back on the old X-Men like Psycho Mythos. But Cerebro is a very powerful machine, and only a few people can actually handle it. Like there's Jean Grey, and then there's Professor Xavier. Professor Xavier used it while the drugs wear off. He says, "You know what? I'm done taking the drugs," because he looked inside Wolverine's mind and he saw the future pretty much destroyed. And you see the old Charles and the young Charles talk to each other, and I like how that was. It was very powerful. It was like, wow, you see your future self telling you to pretty much man up, grow a pair of balls, and save the world. Like, oh, okay, thank you. So that was really cool. I really like how that went. And you see Hank McCoy pretty much proud of Charles Xavier, like he gave up on the drugs now. Like, no, fuck the drugs. I'm gonna be in that wheelchair and pretty much pee in the bag, but I'm gonna save the world in a chair.
Isaiah, I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me.
Exactly. Because you never know, folks.
You never know about a Marilyn Manson reference?
Nope.
Okay.
But this is where also another cool part happens, but a little more confusing, is where Magneto again uses all his power and strength to pick up the baseball stadium. It was cool and it was badass, but it also makes you think as well, like, does this won't this cause more attention? Won't this okay. And yes, I know I'm skipping over the politics part, like Nixon and Task, but in all honesty, folks, they're not really important. I mean, they are important, but they're only so brief in the film. It's like, I don't really care. I want to see McNeil and Eric and all that other shit. So trust me, you want to care about those guys, not the other people.
I want to know. I want to know how Bolivar Trask went from being a very large black man to a very small white man.
Let me think. Tell that to Bryan Singer.
Okay.
Oh my God, I don't know. It was funny because Task is very much different, and he was a black guy in the other movie, and now he's a white guy, short white guy. But that's another long story. Trust me, folks. Let's go with the casting. But again, it was actually kind of cool because you see Professor Xavier using his telepathic powers on Mystique, and you think that you kind of think that he never done this beforehand. He's trying to stop Mystique again from killing Task, and surprisingly, no one see this guy actually trying to shoot the Task. It's like, okay, but again, a lot of things are happening, and a lot of things are like, wow, and funny moments too. Is like when Wolverine walks to the metal detector, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot, I got no metal bones. Oh yeah, I got no metal bones.
Now this is my thing. Is we have basically the entire like everything that's going to happen to mutant kind in the balance, depending on what Mystique does.
Right.
And Professor Xavier won't take over her mind. Like, he won't do it.
Right.
It's like she could have very easily walked up to an FBI substation and walked in and been like, "Hi, I'm a mutant. You want to lock me up?" And then afterwards, he could have convinced her that it was her idea.
Right. But again, this is where Charles has boundaries, and he still sticks to those boundaries. He still thought, and this is going to be weird for some people to actually think about, but Charles Xavier did care about Mystique as a sister, which is true. But if you look at the movie itself, I think it kind of grew a little bit more, because when he lost Mystique, he did feel that, in fact, he did lose his team, but I think losing Mystique as well was like the biggest that broke the camel's back for him. So you think he still has that connection, he still has that bond for Mystique. That's why he never went to her mind in the first place. But this is the first time he actually goes to her mind to actually stop her from pulling the bullet, or pulling the trigger, really. And it was a very cool scene. But then before Charles Xavier actually convinces her to calm down and Wolverine's going to get her, we see Magneto. Again, fucking up the future. He starts up the Sentinels, and all hell breaks loose. Like, oh shit, he's killing everyone! It's like,
well,
really?
that's just it. Is up to this point, we also have him actually like blocking off the entire fucking area.
Right.
And how he blocks off the entire fucking area is he literally picks up, I think it's a baseball field.
Yeah.
Like the entire fucking stadium he picks up and literally drops around this area so there can't be any outside interference. And
Yeah.
that's my thing is that's what I was talking about before is he more powerful in the future? I mean, would
Mm,
you say that a stadium is bigger or smaller than the Golden Gate Bridge?
you have a point there, but actually, the one reason why Magneto is a little bit more powerful in this timeline is because Charles Xavier helped him unlock that true raw potential in himself. And you think Charles is saying like, "Oh crap, I shouldn't have told him all these new tricks." Like, "Oh crap, I shouldn't have told him how to fly. I shouldn't have told him how to pick up that bridge." Like, "Oh crap, I know I have a bad idea. I'm gonna regret this to the end of the day." And he does. That's how he's crippled. Anyways, folks. Again, it was actually a cool battle scene, but it was very brief and very short. It was Magneto versus Hank and Wolverine. Knowing in
Wait, wait,
fact,
wait, wait. Very brief, very short. Isn't that how they describe sex with Isaiah?
no, that's for Charles.
Oh, okay.
But again, they did try to stop Magneto, but Magneto was just too powerful for them, and the Sentinels were on his side. It was just so hard to stop him. So that was really cool. And again, Wolverine tried to stop Magneto, but he failed miserably. Like, dude, really? He puts Rubar in Wolverine's body and flings him off into the ocean. Well, river, really. Like, oh.
Wait, he flings fruit into Wolverine's body?
No, Rubar.
Rhubarb is a fruit.
Hey, now, you never know. Fruit can't kill you. Rhubarb, it can kill you, folks. Fruit can kill you.
Rhubarb is a fruit. It's something that you eat. It's not rebar. Because I worked in produce for 4 years. I know my fruits and vegetables. You son of a bitch.
Rhubarb is a fruit. Rebar is a metal rod.
Hey, now, you never know because it could
Once
be.
again, very much like Isaiah.
Oh my God! Stop saying you never know.
You know you love it.
Stop.
Crying. You know you love it. Anyway.
Go on. Continue.
Like he said from before, like those guys say, not rhubarb, but rebar. Actually, he made those stick to Wolverine's body and flings him off to the water or river, and that's where he pretty much drowns. Like, oh shit, because his future self is being affected by it. Like, uh-oh. So Eric, did not tell him something before? Like, oh, no, I didn't tell him what he should not know. Oh, really? So why is he pretty much drowning over there? Oh, let's look at the Sentinels. Yes, let's look at the Sentinels. And this is where it gets to segue here. The Sentinels has found where the last mutants are, which is in the Himalayas. And you see the last stand for all these other great mutants out there who's fighting off the
Do not mention that name ever again.
they're fighting off the Sentinels. And it was actually a cool battle scene, really. Because it showed off all the great, awesome mutant powers. And Bishop as well. Bishop was still badass. He took out one Sentinel. And the other Sentinels saw okay, so he absorbs energy and kinetic energy. Let's use that against him, which they do. Too much kinetic energy will make him explode.
And I just want to mention that particular scene, that was kind of reminiscent of the very first scene that started the movie. The very first scene being the best fight scene in the movie. And we just see kind of that scene done again with those same mutants who had already died in the first scene.
Right.
Because it's a time-traveling movie and you can do that shit.
Right. Which is okay by me. And it was still kind of cool, too. It was very much badass. And then we go on to the past because they're running out of time. Really much running out of time because the Sentinels are right there and it's going to kill them. And you got the Sentinels right there and Magneto who's going to destroy the world. Again. And then Hank was trying to stop Magneto, but he got trapped again by the Sentinels. So he used the serum on himself to trick the Sentinels. Like, okay, he's not a mutant. Okay, Magneto's a mutant, but Magneto wasn't really that. He wasn't easily taken down that easily. He destroyed that robot. Like, oh, whatever. And so he takes out the bunker, which was under the White House. He takes it out and rips it out of the ground. Like, wow, it takes real force and power because I know the safe house or pretty much the box is not really easy to lift up or pretty much easy to take out because it's under a lot of concrete, ground, metal, and everything else. So that was really badass for Magneto. And then the final hour, the final moment where Magneto is going to pretty much kill or pretty much he was going to kill the president, right? Right. He was going to kill the president and all his men. And then you see Nixon coming out, walking in front of all of the crowds, like, yes, just take me, man, just kill me. No, in fact, Nixon was right next to Task. It was like, oh shit, that's Mystique. And out of nowhere, and pretty much Magneto dropped his guard too, by the way, because he thought he was just a normal human. he drops his guard and the fake Nixon pulls out a gun and shoots him through his neck. And it's confusing that no blood was running off through the bullet wound through his neck. But again, that's just me talking. And
well, he kept it in himself because of the iron in his blood. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's possible, but
and that could have been interesting. Though, they could have said that.
It'd be a bullshit answer.
Hey, it would still be a good bullshit answer. Because
I'm wondering why Mystique didn't come out as Trask. Why she didn't pretend to be Trask.
Well, because here's another good reason behind that one. Nixon is more powerful. He's a more better bait and more better red meat to show the people that he controls everything. If he takes the president, he can take over the whole country itself or the world really. So it'd be like that. That's why she transformed into him. She knows Eric so well that okay, maybe Eric would be so confused by the president, which it was true. And she shoots him right, not point blank range to the face, but it's like to the neck. Again, he should have been killed from that neck wound, but again, it's Magneto and Michael Fassbender. And again, it was still cool and how Magneto, not Magneto, but how Mystique took off his helmet because she knows that Charles is going to take care of him easily. However, now that's all over with really quick too. She goes pretty much to kill the creator of Sentinels, and this is where the biggest moment and the last moment for Charles Xavier. And this is pretty much where he saves the day. He had to pretty much convince her very, very hard not to kill the creator of the Sentinels because what she did there, she protected the president and everyone else there from Magneto's wrath. So it was like a defying moment. Like you can take this path, the light path, or take the dark path, and you'd be no better than Magneto. So it was really good too because she knew Charles Xavier was sincere, and he had no reason to lie to her. So it was very nice.
What you're saying is Mystique was playing a game of Fable.
Exactly, Fable, or pretty much my favorite game, Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, there we go.
You take the good side or the dark side. But it was still interesting. It was still like a good piece of artwork because you see Charles Xavier walking, but again, it was just an illusion. Because that's Charles Xavier is one of his special techniques. Is he can put illusion to people's minds. And it was like a heart-to-heart conversation they never had beforehand. If you think about it too, they never had that heart-to-heart conversation beforehand. I know I said it twice, but who cares? But it was really nice still. And I think the next movie itself, and this is just me saying this, we might see a romantic, or maybe like a relationship between those two characters, because they have so much history with one another, and you do know Mystique has a bond for Xavier. So I don't know what this might turn up to, but it'll be very interesting as well. Very, very interesting.
Do you think maybe in Age of Apocalypse they're actually going to be together?
You know what? I can see that happening because in Age of Apocalypse, a lot of people who are enemies are best friends now. Like, you know what? I'm your friend now. Good, because Apocalypse is another different. He's just an asshole, complete asshole. But again, it was really nice and pretty much. And what Charles Xavier does is actually really cool too. He let the Mystique go. No, in fact, she will come back to him anyways. And he let Eric go, which is even like a dumb idea, but it makes perfect sense. Because Eric and him are like brothers, like I said from before. You see that brotherly bond they always have because you know they cannot kill each other whatsoever. So that was really powerful and really cool. And
that's just it. I actually have a problem with that idea. I think that Xavier ends up letting Magneto go. Xavier ends up letting Mystique make her own decisions, etc., because of the fact that he's such an optimist. And he really hopes that these people will end up making these decisions on their own. And I think he's like that in the comics quite a bit as well. Is that he knows that he can control these people, but he hopes that he knows basically that the idea won't stick because people will be the people that they choose to be.
Yeah, just like very quickly, he had a stepbrother who was Kane, aka the Juggernaut. And he knew his brother was good, but because his brother would treat him so wrongly because his stepfather, Kane's real father, always treated him so wrongly and treated Charles with favoritism. He was like Charles more than his own son, his own biological son. So you see Kane pretty much had that hatred for Charles Xavier. However, throughout the times and years, Juggernaut became more of a brother towards Xavier because they came more of a brotherly bond, and he knows he looks inside his mind, and this is also in the cartoon as well. He tried to get Juggernaut's powers back because it's going. If he doesn't have his power, he will die because he sucked so much. Because he was so connected to that the magical ruby, made him turn to the Juggernaut. He needed just to survive, just like Venom is away from Eddie Brock. He had when Venom was away from his body, he was pretty much dying because it took so much out of him. So it was just like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, Juggernaut is one of the mutants that were never actually technically mutants.
He's not really.
Yeah, but he worked with the League of Evil Mutants, and he was a bad guy basically against mutants, even though he himself was never mutant.
Correct. He's a magical person.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a couple other ones like that. Like people consider Spider-Man a mutant, but he's not a mutant.
Right.
And then there's one other I had in mind, but I can't think of who it is. But yeah, basically, in the Marvel universe, mutant means specifically someone who is born with these powers and has these mutant genes.
Right. So again, no.
Kind of like the Marvel equivalent of the DC metahumans.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure in this particular case, Marvel had it first. Like,
yeah, they did have it first because mutants was out there.
I'm just saying DC equivalent, Marvel equivalent, because in Marvel they don't call them metahumans. They don't.
Of course they don't.
But it's basically the same thing.
It's like mutants was out before metahumans was even thought of, and plus everyone recognized the mutant more better than metahumans because they know mutants comes from the X-Men. X-Men is like so much social issues, like civil rights issues and everything else all put together into a comic book. Stan Lee knew this, and that's why he made it interesting and pretty much one of his best works out there next to Spider-Man and the Hulk and the Avengers.
So what you're saying is that he made it the best work that he put out there except for everything else he wrote?
He made a lot of good work. He made a black character, one of the first black characters. Like, oh, he made Black Panther. Oh, he did? Yeah. Oh, awesome! High five. Anyways,
I was gonna say, like, he's one of that's just it. Is Marvel had those civil rights issues down long before DC did. I mean, they had Black Panther. They had fucking Luke Cage's from way back.
Yeah. Falcon. Oh God.
What's that?
Falcon, Storm, you name it, folks. So it was really good. I really like how the whole climax really ended. So it wasn't really bad to me. It was just really wasn't. I'll explain later why this was not a comic book movie to me. So I'll explain that really later. Anyways, so Wolverine wakes up from where he was, and he wakes up like, I'm in bed. What the world? I should be in the future where I'm on a slab. He sees like everyone's pretty much back. Everyone's back. Everyone's alive. He sees Colossus, Kitty, Iceman, Storm. Everyone's alive. And then we see the other people, the other two characters.
No Nightcrawler.
Yeah, no Nightcrawler. What? We want Nightcrawler. What's up with that? Anyways, I'm looking at you, Fox.
Probably on vacation.
What's that?
Probably on vacation.
Oh yeah, and no. That's right, and no. Forgot his name.
Yeah.
Alan Cunning.
Gambit. No Gambit.
Yeah. But again, Gambit's I think they're gonna make his movie standalone. But getting back to the movie, this is where we're ending at the end anyways. We're at the end. This is where Wolverine sees Jean Grey. Like, oh my God, Jean Grey. And then he sees Cyclops. Like, oh, you're alive.
I
was called
damn it! I was hoping she'd be alive and you'd be dead.
Right. Really but Wolverine was still excited to see him though. Like, man, Scott, man, I really didn't miss you. Which is actually kind of cool too, because in the comic books, Wolverine and Cyclops do not like each other. They have mutual respect for one another, but they hate each other.
Yep.
Very badly. But it was still nice.
Here is my one problem with the movie. My main problem with the movie.
Sure.
You have Beast. You have help me here, the Russian guy.
Oh my God, Russian.
Azazel.
Is they?
No, not the Russian guy who turns to metal.
Colossus.
Colossus. You have Beast, you have Colossus, you have Wolverine. At no point do you have the Furball Express. At no point is fucking Colossus tossing one of those motherfuckers at a Sentinel.
Right. This makes you think too, like, wow, really? So again, this is where Wolverine meets Charles Xavier. Like, it worked, man. Great plan. And he's asking what worked. I went back in the past to actually save everyone else. No, in fact,
Well, that's not what happened. What he said was, it's like Professor Xavier still thought that he had not come back yet, and he said like, "Oh, Logan, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be in history class." And he's like, "That's not really going to work because I need to get caught up on everything that happened after 1973." And then Charles Xavier looked up and said, "Oh, welcome back." Yeah.
Now, I just realized how bullshit that is, actually.
I know.
And I didn't realize it before, but I realize it now. Is how the fuck does Charles Xavier know that Charles Xavier from the future sent Wolverine back into the past?
Right.
Oh, I guess Wolverine told him. There we go. Never mind. Figured it out. Duh, it's the entire movie.
Right. It's like, and then yeah, it was so weird too. Like, okay, so you would right all the wrongs, but he still remembers what the wrongs are, and he knows what you did. So again, it's an X-Men movie, folks. Just take what it is. And then the post-credit scenes, which I think was cool. I didn't think it was all that great, but I think it was cool. We get again, his name is really hard. His real name is really hard to say. Do you even know his real? It's an Egyptian.
I'm unsure, or something like that, right?
Whatever.
Someone else.
Anyways, it's Apocalypse in another word. He is the first mutant. He is the first mutant because he's like a god. And also, fun fact, in the cartoon, it was two people voicing his character. Yes, two people, not one person, two people voicing Apocalypse's voice. And it was very badass too. And he was
at the same time?
Yes, at the same time. That's not a joke. I actually looked it up like, oh shit, two people voiced him? Wow. I forgot their names, but it was so cool. I was like, I didn't know that. And when I look very close, like, okay, I hear two voices. So it was like it was like a German, and it was like a Russian accent. It was like all mixed together. And also, he was very scary too, because he still has his red eyes, and he was like a robotic machine god. So it was very scary too. And I wonder how they're gonna do Apocalypse, because he's not a disaster person. He actually wants to take over everything. Survival of the fittest. That's what he thinks. But however,
survival of the finish?
Yeah, I know.
People from Finland can survive?
Right. But
fuck that, I'm going to Finland.
Right.
Yeah.
But the fun thing behind Apocalypse is in the comic books, he got his ass whooped on in the future by Magneto. He killed him. Like, yeah, he really did destroy him in the future. Like, oh. We could have done it like in 5 minutes in. I know. But anyways, Magneto is, again, he's a really awesome character. He's more evil. He's like the most evilest villain in the X-Men universe, because when he comes in, when he's actually just out there messing the fuck up shit, he doesn't fuck up the shit. He fucks up your whole house. Like, oh man.
First off, I cannot agree. I do not think he is the worst thing to happen to in the X-Men universe.
I mean, in a good way.
Not even kinda. I think that distinction goes to Brett Ratner.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I was gonna say Onslaught, but okay. Oh god, that'd be so awesome though. You guys know what Onslaught is, right? Right?
I remember the name from somewhere. I've seen it probably in something outside of X-Men, though.
No, he's actually in X-Men. Onslaught, he is Professor Xavier and Magneto together. And I'll explain this very quickly, because I hope they have him in the fourth movie, like Onslaught. Onslaught is his body is Professor Xavier, but his mind is is Eric, the evil thoughts of Eric. So Eric, this is where Magneto is in a vegetable state due to Charles Xavier, because Magneto was close to killing Wolverine. So he got really angry because he saw his friends almost being killed by Magneto. So he pretty much had to put him in a vegetable state. And Magneto had no helmet on, by the way. And this is really cool, because this is where the dark Charles Xavier, which rested inside Charles, mixed with the evil thoughts of Eric. When they combine, they become an evil force. Onslaught. Onslaught is pretty much a godlike character as well. He's more powerful than Apocalypse. I know, I'm saying that right. He is more powerful than him, but that's another long story. But again, the Apocalypse story is going to be very cool in my book, and it's going to have the Four Horsemen. which is a bigger story plot to it. Because I hope they have Archangel. Hope they got Wolverine becoming deaf. I mean, hope they get a lot of good story arcs in there, as best they can. And plus James McCoy, James McAvoy, thank you. Michael Fassbender, Hugh Jackman, Jennifer Lawrence, Quicksilver guy, Beast, and I know Banshee's dead. Sad to say, he's not coming back. Damn. Fuck. Anyway,
we'll see a young Jean Grey and Cyclops and Storm.
Yeah, we're gonna get like the real classic X-Men in a way, mixed with some older school X-Men. So it's gonna be very cool, very badass. So you'll be on the lookout for that, which might come out 2016 or more. Depends
on when this Bryan Singer mess ends.
I think it's gonna end soon. I don't know, but yes, folks, that has been our review. When I also I reviewed this too, by the way, folks, I gave it a sigh. Okay, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was still a good movie to watch with friends. It's a good blockbuster movie. However, it's not a good comic movie because I watched Captain America: Winter Soldier. It was badass because it took everything from Volume 5 from Captain America and implemented it in this storyline. Everything was pretty much on point, besides Black Nick Fury and so much role that Black Widow had. But it was still a movie that I could watch as a comic fan and as a moviegoer. Bless you. And plus, it changed so much of the first movie. Like the first movie was a little bit campy, which is true, but I liked it still. But this one's like a spy, more mature, more like an adult movie that you can just watch with all types of groups. So it was so much. Also, I'm a big Captain America fan, by the way. It was just so much there. It was not just a Captain America movie; it was a team movie. And this is what X-Men also did. I was also got to know this out. This is actually a team movie, not a Wolverine movie, a team movie. Thank God. Mm-hmm. So it was actually a good idea to make this a team movie. But also, it was a Mystique movie. It was a Mystique movie and Charlie Xavier movie and Eric movie, which I did like the most because they're pretty much the main stars of this movie. So it was a good thing. So overall, it's still a good movie. It's not a good comic movie in my book, but it's 10 times better than Spider-Man 2. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is way better. I'm sorry, folks. That's way better.
I was gonna say is that I really kind of one thing I had a problem with this movie. Mm-hmm. Is that they did change the storyline so much. Now, normally changing the storyline, I don't really have a problem with so long as they stay in the spirit of the story. Yeah. However, in this particular case, they changed the storyline specifically to highlight the bigger actors. They were kowtowing to the actors more than they were the story, and that kind of upset me a little bit.
Right. This is why I say this is why a good movie, not a comic movie, because because Jennifer Lawrence, Michael Fassbender, and the rest cast and crew, they do a great job. It's nothing against them; they do a great job. But if you look at Chris Evans, he's a big actor, but he's not really that big. But you know him because he's Captain America. He plays that role, Captain America.
Wait, you're telling me the Human Torch also plays Captain America?
Exactly.
I know him from the Human Torch. I know him from the Human Torch.
I know that.
From Scott Pilgrim. I didn't realize he was also in the Marvel movie.
I know. It's crazy too because Human Torch is also teamed up with Captain America as well in World War II. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, but it's a different Human Torch.
So that was an android. Anyways, folks, yes, and that's why Chris Evans, he is Captain America, and I know Wolverine. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, but again, it's nothing to take away from the actors, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender. They're great actors, but they're playing as great actors and not just Magneto and Charles Xavier. When you look at the other older people like Magneto and Charles Xavier, that's them because they play on key and on point. These are some new characters that we haven't seen before in comic books before and cartoons. So it's pretty much a hybrid and pretty much its own movie. That's why I'm not gonna say it's a comic movie, just a movie itself. That's all.
Yeah, but overall, I like the movie as well. There was a lot of suspension of disbelief that had to happen because if once you get into the details, once you get into like the reality of how certain things would be, then it kind of breaks down. So you kind of have to take certain things with a grain of salt. But other than that, it still was an enjoyable movie. I saw it in the theater, opening weekend, IMAX, the whole fucking 9 yards, and I really enjoyed it. And I do consider it money well spent.
Yeah, I see it as well. If you just want to watch a good movie, and I say this is a good movie to watch, I would say do not watch X-Men 1, 2, 3, Wolverine's Origins or Wolverine. You can watch First Class if you want to, but it really won't add up to this story at all because it's very confusing because the timelines are just all messed up.
I don't agree with you. The First Class is what makes it more simpler for people to understand it. I think the First Class lineup timeline with the path that we saw lines up perfectly. I don't if it's I don't know what's difficult to understand, but to me, I think this was a flawless movie. I think, you know, look, Bryan Singer, he saved the franchise. Pretty much gave us, he pretty much gave us like a reboot without like, he got rid of the bad stuff, but he kept all
Well,
the good stuff.
in all honesty, Andy, no, I agree with your point, but in all honesty, he couldn't get any worse because, let's be honest, Wolverine's Origin and Last Stand, they were crap. They were so crap. It's like, dude, you can't do any worse than this crap.
Yeah, but regardless of that crap, they needed to fix all of that. They need to be like, okay, the fans are not responding to our movies anymore. We need to fix this. So now they have a clean slate. They can do pretty much whatever they want, and the timeline now are now synced up. We now know the origins between Xavier and Magneto and Beast and all these characters, and yeah, to me, like, it was a flawless movie. Like, I'm gonna, as soon as it comes on a Blu-ray, I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna watch it several times.
My thought is when it came to the transitions between the first three movies and then these last two movies, and even during Wolverine Origins, is, for example, in the beginning of this movie, Wolverine has his medal again.
Right.
And the argument is how the fuck does he have his medal, considering he lost it in the most recent Wolverine movie? Right. Well, a lot of time has passed between that movie and this movie. Because this movie happens 10 years in the future. That movie happens in present time. There's a fucking decade that happened in which he could have gotten his metal claws back. Yeah, maybe he pissed off Magneto. Maybe he fucking maybe he went back to the mountain. Maybe he was talking to fucking one of the other weapons and somehow got his. We don't know. He could have gotten those weapons back any fucking way. And yes, it does not explain it in the story, but just because they don't explain it doesn't make the current story wrong.
Right, because you never know.
Exactly. Fuck you, Isaiah.
You know it was good. You know that was a good one. You know it was good.
Donkey ass.
You know it was good. That's why you're laughing so much, because that was a good comeback.
That's your go-to comeback, Isaiah. You use that comeback in anything, even if it doesn't fit the conversation.
Hey, don't blame me, man. You love it when it's bedtime. Hey, you love it. Anyways, folks, we should pretty much wrap this up because we got something else to do with our lives besides fap at a lot of things.
Yeah, we got Game of Thrones actually going to start in just over half an hour.
Yeah, so we need to get the hell out of here. All right, folks. I have been your host, Isaiah. This has been your other host and pretty much co-host and pretty much the owner as well as Geeks It Around. You got Andy and his podcast show, which is the Hellcarrier Podcast, and the Flash Podcast Show, and Charles 2 Cents. We talked about a lot of interesting things and awesome topics. And me, if Isaiah Zone, you know me already, folks. I'm crazy.
GeeksItAround.com, YouTube.com/GeeksItAround. Like, subscribe, all those fun things.
Out.